Okay, so I've been seeing a lot of controversy around the 28 Years Later movie, and I've been seeing a lot of cases for both people saying they love the movie, a lot of people saying it's like overrated, but the most poignant conversational piece was the ending of the movie, which we'll get into later, but I actually enjoyed, and I feel like there's a not a correct way to interpret it, but probably the proper way to interpret it, as well as a nice cliffhanger into the upcoming sequel, which they filmed directly after. But the thing I wanted to highlight most about this movie is, and I mentioned this in the Nosferatu review, so if you haven't seen that, go watch it. But I talk about how in Hollywood there's a lot of, nudity in terms of the women and everything, but then in terms of the men, there is nothing. I mean, in Nosferatu, that's a prosthetic. That's not even his. And then in 28 Years Later, I watched the movie and I'm like, oh my God, they're showing full dong. They're showing full dong for most people. And I think for most of the extras and background actors, they were showing full dong. But I was very deeply, deeply disappointed to hear the alphas were wearing prosthetics. How could you?
No.
For that reason, 0 out of 10. 28 centimeters later.
That was not Jason Momoa's thingy? No.
First of all, that's not Jason Momoa. You guys are stupid for thinking that was him. It was confirmed they were wearing prosthetics. Which, I guess in hindsight, it makes sense that they weren't full donging it wearing around a 14-year-old. So, I guess that makes a little bit of sense, I guess. I also saw that this whole movie was shot on iPhones, which I didn't know going into it. And after watching it, I still didn't know. And then I see behind the scenes and the iPhones are the lenses they used, and then they have giant fucking telescopes and everything. And I don't really care. A lot of people are like, oh, why even shoot it on an iPhone at that point? Or what's the point? It doesn't even look like an iPhone. It's who cares, man? Just let them do what they want. The movie quality has nothing to do with that.
It does disappoint me that was not Jason Momoa. Killian?
It's like an all UK actors. Why in the world would they bring in Jason Momoa? It just wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, yeah, maybe
just because he's donging it. He's showing straight clock tower in this movie. That's what you wanted.
I was really shocked to see that Cillian Murphy just let himself go like that. I was that was sad. I hope he gets well soon.
I mean, he's always been a little on the skinnier side, but yeesh. After Oppenheimer, something must have happened. Yeesh.
Yeah, but okay. I have not seen the other two movies. I really loved this one. I had a friend next to me that was he loved it. He was he constantly told me, dude, I love this. I love this. He loved it, and I loved it as well. My favorite part has to be the part with the mother and the doctor. The doctor was my favorite character.
Yeah, Ralph Fiennes playing the doctor.
Yeah,
and he's definitely. I know the next movie is going to be called the Bone Temple, so I think he's definitely going to play a major role in that next movie too.
There was a lot of cult vibes coming from this movie. Have you noticed that?
Oh, for sure, yeah, with all the masks and the imagery and everything, and then the very closed off town.
Jimmy's father was definitely a cult leader. Jimmy had 10 sisters and a bunch of older women living in his house. That was definitely that kind of behavior. And at the end, we see that Jimmy has turned he's become anti Christianity. I think that's supposed to kind of show us this is the anti-religion Jimmy, and then
he's just a rebel. His whole thing is he's a rebel. Apparently, I didn't know this. He's based off a controversial UK figure who's super popular, but also he's the P. Diddy of Europe. Apparently, don't quote me on any of this, but I watched a few videos on this.
Really? Okay.
It's basically if they glorified someone with like SA allegations. But he's just like super popular in the UK.
Something else that I really liked was at the beginning the intercuts of like modern day / the apocalypse with the older times. Like we see those archers, we see those soldiers marching. That was
my favorite.
So cool.
My favorite shots were definitely, as well as the medieval shots, like intertwined in the with the Boots song in the background.
Yeah, that one.
Have the medieval shots going from like the kid archers training, and then I also loved the zombies at night who were just like all red, and then the deer who was all red. It was super cool seeing all that, and then of course the back shot of the one zombie crawling. I super love how they changed like the zombies in this one, especially compared to the first two, because you don't know, this is a little bit of spoilers, but there's no alphas in 28 years or 28 days or 28 years later, and there's like so much lore. I didn't even know that you could visit a website and find out more about the lore around the island and how like there's a character who is from the outside world and his boat goes down, and there's like a whole log about how the ship goes down and what happened. And hopefully we learn more about that, because I'm super interested to see like, are the zombies like underground or not underground, like underwater, and like they actually like took the boat out, or is it like infesting animals and like there's like a rage virus fucking whale under the sea that took out a submarine and killed everyone but him. I don't know any of that, but it would be super cool to see in the sequel.
For me, another really good part was, in apocalyptic movies, it's always the whole world has gone bad. This time, they localized it to just England, which I really like, because I am kind of tired of stakes being so high in any kind of media that I read, watch, whatever.
I think most people are. Like, it's always, always, always end of the world is at stake. End of the world is at stake. I mean, you see that MCU is probably the most, like, they do that the most. It's like, if we don't beat this threat, it's the end of the world. And, like, everyone else in the movie is, like trying to fight back. But then there's so many other characters in the universe, and it's like, well, if it's the end of the world, why isn't everybody here?
So getting back into it, like I said before, the part with the mother was my favorite. And I even, like, 1 or 2 tears came out of my eyes. I'm not gonna lie. I think that part was really beautiful and really good.
I think it also had a lot to say about like the movie with Memento Mori, meaning a lot to the story and everything that was happening. I will say a few of my grievances with the movie is that the opening hook is, compared to the previous one, was very lackluster in my opinion. I also like was super weird, because usually it's like the opening hook ties into the events we're about to see, and I think most people were, or at least the people I watched the movie with, were all like, "Who's Jimmy?" They all thought Jimmy was the was Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, because it's like, why wouldn't he be? We just saw a backstory on some random kid where he has to be on screen somewhere. That's like how it works. So it's a bold decision to not have him on screen, and I don't think it really. I think it pays off at the end, but I feel like they could have set it up better with like letting us know that Jimmy, or maybe it was just like a lack of paying attention from me, but either way, I sort of lost that intention. My favorite thing about this movie is the editing style that Danny Boyle does directing, and I also had another grievance when Spike goes out with his mother, and the father, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, is still on the mainland. Like when we finally get to see him again, he's still on the mainland, and then he gets the note from Spike, and then he runs into the forest. There is no way in my mind, after knowing his character from the first act, that he would just stay on the mainland safe and sound waiting for Spike to come home. He would have been out there looking for him. I mean, I know there's like the rule that like you can't go out and rescue, but there's no way he wouldn't like do that.
I agree with you. I
go
thought
out
that
to
was a
rescue his
setup.
kid.
I thought that was a setup that nobody will come back to look for you. I thought that was a setup that the father would do that, but he didn't. I agree with you.
I think that like setup works if there's a scene where he tries to rescue his son and they actually like, you know, restrain him physically and don't allow him to go on to the mainland. But when we finally see the character again, he's just, you know, sitting safe and sound, reads the note, and then like, you know, it's high tide so he can't get out. Now this is like the most controversial thing, and my friend next to me like audibly was saying like, what the hell is happening during the ending? And I think a lot of people thought that. There is a lot of foreshadowing with the Power Rangers toy that Spike drops, and it symbolizes, you know, him putting away his childhood and, you know, trying to become a man. But obviously, like, he enjoys the Power Rangers. And how I interpreted it was he is seeing the Jimmies, and they're all doing, like, these tricks and flips and everything, and he's just, like, a kid. And that's just, like, his way to, like, deal with everything. You know, he sees these, like, heroes saving his life and everything. And he thinks, like, they're all Power Rangers, basically. He's tying them to his own relation to these heroes that he loves. And I choose to think it that, and I think this is my interpretation, but I feel like it's sort of the interpretation that most people should go along with, is that that's not actually what's happening. All those tricks and stunts, they're probably just hallucinations that Spike is having after going through so much, and also, you know, everything with his mother that ties into this.
Is there any proof to what you're saying? I'm sorry.
It's just like speculation, but it's like we see the ending happening, and it's very far-fetched to believe that they're like all jumping off and doing like crazy backflips and everything. So the way I see it is they're all just like sort of hyperbole in a way of Spike's imagination.
I can see why people wouldn't like that. I really see it. But I personally really liked it. I thought it's just the vibes at the end with them doing that whole Power Rangers stuff. I think that was...
Yeah.
It might not be fully fitting, but I think it ended the movie on a good note. But I can see how it's a shock of tone. I can...
Yeah.
Yeah, tonal shock.
I think the cliffhanger was very good setup for the next movie. I think there was an ending to the story of Spike with his mother's death, and now we have the continuation of Spike's story where he goes into the mainland, and we get to see, you know, a cliffhanger of where his journey is going next with, you know, the continuation from the opening scene. I also I forgot to mention this. I thought it was super cool the whole time where the red herring of Spike's mother thinking that she has like some sort of rage virus iteration that's like slowly growing within her, or at least that's what I thought. And then it just turns out that it was just straight up cancer. Because there's like a lot of stuff that like points you towards like, oh, she might have it since she's like, you know, losing her mind. She bashes that one zombie's head in at night, and then it turns out she just has cancer. And I actually did enjoy that. And then one more thing I wanted to bring up was how they have sort of the immunity set up in the previous movie, where and this is spoilers for you, Faik. Do you care?
No.
Okay. they set up in the previous movie, 28 years later, that having heterochromia in your eyes is immunity to the rage virus. And they don't really go anywhere with this cure in this movie, which is fine because it's sort of super rare. But one of my friends was speculating that the cure might be in the child, and I'm curious to see as to where they head with any of that.
I am glad
to see if they continue with that.
That friend, I am glad that what he said didn't happen, because if it did, in my eyes, this would have been a really bad movie. Because then it would have been it would have turned into a zombie slop movie where at the end they find a cure from the baby infested with the zombie virus. I am glad it was just a normal baby.
I think this movie has so much like originality oozing out of it that it wouldn't even like think to do that. It was just part of the imagery and the themes of how the doctor says like that even the infected can give birth to like children, and the
placenta.
What did he call it? The magic of the placenta. That's what he said.
Okay. Coming to the end, I think I would give Craven the Hunter, Hunting the Momoa, a 9 out of 10. In my opinion.
You want too much. Me personally, I would give this movie an 8 out of 10. There were a few story beats that I wasn't a big fan of, especially, I didn't touch on this, but there's a comedic relief character that he was really funny, and I love the tonal switches in this, but I think the character was not well, like, I guess, like, put into this, like, the story for me, and then the acting wasn't all there for that. I do want to say, I think this year is, like, the year of, like, kid acting. Like, Spike's actor was, like, super good. Oh, man, what's that other movie with the super good kid actor that came out recently? Oh, Bring Her Back. All crazy good kid actors in that movie. The talent that the Spike actor has is incredible. I can't wait to see him in the sequel. He, in my opinion, carried this movie, and all the acting performances were super good.
I agree.
But yeah, to just close it out, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I think it is extremely good, and I can't wait to see the sequel. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We like to read your comments. The comments are the lifeblood of this channel. And let us know if you have any criticisms of either our review itself or the editing style. We don't have a strict editing style, so I will change it to whatever people might think is better, because it's ever changing right now.
Yeah, we're flexible. Just let us know what you might prefer, the best way to consume us blabbering on about movies and what we love to do. So yeah, thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.